The NFL Combine is still rolling and RBU is showing out per usual, but a little bit of it might be a surprise, much like a few years ago when it came to the 40 times between Zamir White and James Cook. Ryan Curley from Dog Post here, talking about the Combine as we have the last few days because, well, there are a bunch of Georgia Bulldogs there who are performing, trying to get drafted, and some of them need these performances if they want to make a little bit more money, put a little bit more money in their pocket. Before I really jump into it, make sure you're checking out DAWGSTRUCTION, our commemorative book, 80 pages about the 2021 Georgia Bulldog National Championships. It's got guys like James Cook, who I'm going to talk about today. So you're not going to miss out on that. It's a really awesome book that Dean Legge and the crew, we killed it this year, and all of that kind of came into this book. So Ryan Curley from Dog Post. Zamir White, James Cook, ran the 40 yesterday, and Zamir White was faster. Ran a 4.4 flat, just like George Pickens, and James Cook ran a 4.42. If you're watching game tape, I think James Cook is probably a faster running back, right? And that's, I mean, I had no, I don't want to. This sounds really harsh, but I had no faith in Zamir White running a faster 40. I just didn't think that was going to happen. He comes off the two ACL tears the last few years. I talked about this a little bit the other day, how I just didn't think that Zamir White is the same athlete that he was when he was in high school, but he still got that 4.4 speed in a straight line. So two completely different running backs, and if you're an NFL team, obviously you're trying to build a running back room that has some versatility, that has a little bit of variety. So you look at both these guys, they give you different things. Zamir White's a little bit more, is way more of a power back, kind of punch it up the middle, punch it up the hole, a guy that can get you a touchdown at the goal line, a guy that you need to churn runs out with. And then James Cook is a big hitter, right? You've seen the big pass plays, you've seen the big run plays, you've seen him beat you over the top, you've seen him beat you on the outside. When you watch James Cook running, it's almost like when he's running full speed, it looks like he's gliding through midair, flying by people. So I think when it comes to game speed, obviously James Cook is a little bit faster. But Zamir White, I mean, we've seen him break a big run in 2020 against Florida, that 75-yard run where he got the edge and blew by everybody. So the speed is not that crazy when you look back and think about it. I just didn't know that he was going to run a 4.4. And something that I saw on social media today that was kind of interesting, that I haven't really put a lot of thought into, this small page on TikTok actually, but it's kind of true. Kind of like inflation rates, 40-yard dash times climb up and up, right? So now you're getting a lot more guys who can run that sub 4.4, that sub 4.3. People are just getting faster. Athletes are getting better and better. You've seen that across all sorts of leagues. I think the NBA is a really good league. You've seen where you see how people are just more athletic, more skilled. You're seeing that in speed in football. That's something that's translated in that regard. And both of these running backs faster than the 2018 Combine where you saw Nick Chubb and Sony Michel. They both ran a 4.5. Let me grab it so I'm not getting wrong. Nick Chubb ran a 4.52 and Sony Michel ran a 4.54. And I think everyone thought that Sony Michel was faster than Nick Chubb, just by the way that they played football. Nick Chubb a little bit more similar to Zamir White, and James Cook a little bit more similar to Sony Michel in the way that they were used at Georgia and a little bit of their tendencies as running backs. So again, we've seen that the power back for Georgia ran a little bit faster, just a little bit, both by .02. Isn't that kind of funny? The separation there. Just ran a little bit faster than that speed back, that versatility back. If you're an NFL team, I've watched so much of Zamir White and James Cook over the last few years, and I've watched a lot of other running backs. You're getting stuff out of these guys that I don't think you get out of some of the other running backs in the draft. Zamir White was the heart and soul of Georgia this year and the last couple of years. And he does it in all facets of the game. We've seen him make plays on special teams. I mean, your starting running back is making plays on special teams. He wants to block punts. He wants to return them for touchdowns. He's a guy that just wanted to win football. He loves football, and he loves his team. That's what you get in Zamir White. Outside of that, there's concerns about his athleticism as compared to 4 years ago, before those injuries. But he performed. And then James Cook, you're getting a guy that can pretty much do everything. The only thing that, I'm weary of with James Cook is kind of the between the tackles and breaking tackles, something that he needs to work on, something maybe a little bit of a strength thing that NFL teams can develop in a running back. But you look at their numbers this year. James Cook, 728 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground, but he added the 284 and the 4 touchdowns through the air. And then Zamir White, 856 on the ground, 11 touchdowns. He's a touchdown getter. He's one of those guys that, people draft them in fantasy football because they get all those goal line touches. That's what Zamir White does. James Cook is going to rack up the yards, the scrimmage yards. Obviously, he had about 80 more scrimmage yards than Zamir White this year. Both key contributors to the national championship run. And a really, really, really good Georgia offense that people overlook how good their offense was. People get caught up in the quarterback situation, but they were putting up around 40 a game. And they were scoring a lot of touchdowns in a lot of different ways. Zamir White and James Cook accounted for 11 touchdowns each for this Georgia Bulldog team this year. So it's really important. And, if you're reading and you watch Zamir White in the combine and you're reading about it, he's doing well in all the receiving drills. So something that if he can add to his game that I think Nick Chubb's added to his game a little bit in the NFL can make you a more valuable running back. And the issue with running backs has been that they're kind of a dispensable position. Oh, well, you can replace them easier than other positions because they get hit so many times, they get hurt. There's so many talented running backs. That is true to an extent. That's very true, but you're getting stuff from these two running backs that I don't know that you get from some of the other backs. I think James Cook is the most versatile back in the draft. I don't think it's close as far as who can just do it all. And then Zamir White, I think you're getting one of the biggest hearts in football that I've seen in a long time. So both these guys are good, but Zamir White's a little bit faster. Kind of like how Sony Michel wasn't as fast as Nick Chubb back then a couple years ago, but we didn't think that was going to happen. Make sure you check out the site. Make sure you check out dawgpost.com. Keep watching the videos. Appreciate you guys.